how human beings were created by genetic engineering. Such did occur in Mesopotamia in the early Sumerian civilization, where mankind was first manipulated and created. The original prototype, if you will, was a very docile being that did not fully meet the needs of the masters, and thus further genetic engineering was done on these beings. The reptoids themselves did not fully engage in this work. They were more in a supervisor role, overseeing those who did this work, who were extraterrestrials known as the Sirians. They were not truly compliant or willing to promote entirely the program of their Anunnaki compatriots. This awareness does not see that the Sirians were totally enslaved by the Anunnaki reptoids, but were subjugated somewhat, a little less powerful than those who would control them. So they were forced to do this work, and they decided to sabotage this work by creating a being that would develop spiritually, that would develop its own willpower to a point where this could become a problem at a later date. At first this seemed exactly the creature that the reptoids, the Anunnaki, wished to have for the purposes that have been expressed, to work in their minds, to service the gods, to be at the disposal of the gods, of those who considered themselves gods. But the original prototype was simply too ineffective and was not strong enough or capable of doing the many complex things that the masters wished them to do. The chimpanzees, apes, were just not sufficient to the purposes of the Anunnaki, and they simply were not seen as viable alternatives. That is why they went to the original Neanderthal man. The Neanderthal man's progress, if it had been allowed to develop in the evolutionary process, would have taken millions and millions of years to reach a point where it was highly developed to the degree that it could think in those higher strata that were needed by the Anunnaki, and this was simply not what they wished. They did not wish to wait so long, hence the program that was initiated, the bioengineering, the genetic engineering program that was initiated using subjugated peoples, the subjugated race, the Sirians. However, the Sirians were much stronger and had a different understanding, and could see deep into the future, and understood that while it was appearing as if they were cooperating with the program, they really had their own agenda, and created Cro-Magnon man and modern human Homo sapien beings who would at some point in the future rebel against the masters. This is what was their intent and purpose. How modern man is fighting off the reptoids. The program, that genetic engineering that the Sirians engaged in, was that they took the Neanderthal man and combined the brain with the reptoid brain, thus the modern brain that has the primal reptoid brain beneath the cerebral cortex of modern man, thus blending some of the qualities and nature of reptoids into modern man through the infusion of both the simian brain and the reptoid brain. And this created modern man. There was seen by the Sirians, in their attempts to fight their own captors, their own enslavers, a hidden agenda. That hidden agenda was that they understood that with time, the creature they created for the reptoid Anunnaki would reach a place of its own awareness and understanding, its own enlightenment to its own existence, and reach a place where they could be an effective agent against those very same masters that had them created in the first place. They could indeed rebel against the masters, the robots rebelling against the masters, the robot rebellion as the entity Davidic is written of, and that is where the situation is at the time. The creature created, modern man, is now at an evolutionary and spiritual point where it is ready to rebel, where it is ready to stand up against those agents who are hidden now, who seek to control from the fourth dimension, and would continue the enslavement process that initiated so long ago. For it is felt by them it is their right. They did, after all, create modern man for the express purpose of being the slave race to the Anunnaki, to those who are of that Orion Empire now, the reptoids, the Orions, all part of the Anunnaki, and those who created in the first place, and it is seen by them as their natural right to reclaim their heritage. Humans can become spiritually enlightened and illuminated, and in this enlightenment, fulfill the purpose that the Sirians originally, so many million of years ago, had for this race that they were creating with love and deep desire that they would progress to such a point. The Sirians have overseen this evolutionary process. They are part of the Galactic Federation now, and have had a vested interest in maintaining and perpetuating this this human race that they helped to co-create so long ago. This is why humanity is becoming more and more difficult to manage and maintain by the reptoid Orion Anunnaki masters, for they are rejecting this now, for they are asking the questions and they are taking the actions that will set them free. This is all part of an overall divine plan, that even those agents who created all of this in a physical way, that created originally a slave race that is meant to evolve to a point of spiritual choice and evolution where the will could be so strong that different choices were made and the original creators could be superseded. Even this is part of the divine plan, the greater plan that this awareness has often spoke of. The battle is to save the souls of Earthlings. This awareness indicates essentially, the souls of humans is the only issue involved that is of greatest urgency to the Galactic Command or Confederation, for this saving of the souls is that which the spiritual forces perceives to be the real purpose and value. The physical body is temporal anyway and has only a short time on Earth, but the soul being more permanent, being more or less eternal, is the more important concern. The Draconians and Orion forces think that by making it appear the soul is just an illusion and that one's body is what counts, they find themselves able to influence people by fear and by coercion, based on bodily needs and preservation, and in this manner they actually capture the souls of entities who are trying to preserve their body and will do so at the cost of their soul. The concern of the Sirians, Arcturans, Vegans, Pleiadians and those of the galactic hierarchy is that they want as much as possible to see the souls of humans rise in evolution toward a spiritual dimension, rather than following those draconian and lower negative forces into that spiritually unhealthy dimension.